Welcome to the show today. My name is Kevin Martin. We got a great show for you today. Welcome. I'm very excited. My guest today is a legend, 6-time Grammy nominee, one of the top music producers on the planet. He is with us.
Page, man. You don't have to preface it with 6-time Grammy nominee.
Welcome, Deadmau5. You're on the show. How you doing, man?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm great. Life is good. You know.
In Canada.
Yeah, fellow Canadian.
Where from?
West side of Canada, Calgary, Alberta.
Nice.
Proud Canadian, you know, I mean, that's what I wanted to ask you about. We're both Canadian. It's been a long pandemic. We've been stuck up here in Northern Canada and just chilling. How's it been, man? Do you miss performing live in front of the fans face to face?
Of course. And I miss traveling and I miss eating while I travel. Like, that's my big thing.
You miss living?
Yeah, well, no, I'm still alive. I mean, we've compromised and adapted and all that stuff, so that's good. I'm breathing oxygen, which is kind of key at this point. Well, clean oxygen. Yeah, no, I miss the travel. I miss the friends and the fans, of course, and the stage and stuff. But hey, man, gotta just play safe and smart by the rules, and then hopefully this just kind of
the end is soon. The end is soon. Me too. Traveling for poker and stuff, I've missed it so much.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, you were can we see a shot of this? Check this out, you guys. I mean, look at that. Look at where you're
master bedroom.
That is like, how many pianos are on the side there? Is that like 12 pianos?
There are no pianos actually anywhere in here.
Keyboards, correct terminology?
Yeah.
Man, look at that. That is a castle of sound making right there.
Yeah, it's the quarantine headquarters.
Yeah, the pandemic. I mean, it can't be that bad. You're locked in there. That looks like heaven.
No, it's great. I mean, well, it is what it is. I mean, it's all very, relative to everyone. I mean, like, I'm getting a little batty. I haven't left the house in a year.
That's wild.
Like 2 shows in around New Year's and stuff like that. But it's kind of cool too to kind of pull back the reins and be a little creative during and using this time effectively versus hiding under the bed, going woe is me.
For sure. That's a great attitude, dude. You're a super interesting guy. I gotta ask you, your cat is also a star. Your cat is a social media star, and they've recently taken a leap in another direction. Your cat, Professor Mowingtons, is the first ever animal on OnlyFans.
Yeah. No, like I'm whoring my cat out. That's happening. I mean, $5 is $5. Mowingtons. I figured, you know what? Like, the cat food bill. The economy is taking a massive shit, and we all got to do our part, Mewington. So if you want food in your dish, you're gonna have to show a little paw or two.
I love it. We're at the monthly, a trailblazer, the first ever animal.
He's truly enthusiastic, and there's no cat shaming involved. He's just having a good time on there.
I imagine a couple of our listeners will be checking that out later tonight. Also, man, so you've been in the game for a long time, crushing everything. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe your first piece of software that you got going with back in the 90s was called Impulse Tracker. Is that correct? Do you remember Impulse Tracker?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, authored by Jeffrey Lim, and he was an Australian, and that Impulse Tracker was the forefront of like kind of when the Amigas and the 486s came to being able to play back ADPCM samples in a tracker format and stuff like that, because there really was no DAW solution where we could see waveforms on a timeline. That technology was just unimaginable at the time, so it was all very textual, very like hacker looking, with just typing in values and stuff like that, like F01 for that, and then 000 for some hex value to tell you what that note is doing, and it's scrolled downwards like a player piano, or versus today it kind of goes right to left like a player piano as well, but just in a more like linear workflow fashion. But yeah, it was that. But actually there was one that predated that, and that was C-Lab. It was called Notator. And it was Atari ST software. So yeah, big old
I was super fascinated in this old software because in my profession, professional poker, technology has changed the game even in 10 years, let alone 25 years. And the way that professional poker players develop their skill is completely different based on the technology. So I just wanted to ask you, like, it's a different game nowadays for music producers. What's it like technology-wise for music producers now?
Well, it's 180 degrees different. And it's kind of interesting because, you know, I'm seeing a lot of, you know, the younger generation, you know, learning electronic music for just that niche part of it, and using all this software and knowing the software, but not necessarily knowing what the software is supposed to emulate. So there are like plugins that are like this, but it's on your screen, you know, but this is like a very kind of intricate, there's a lot of circuitry involved and analog things that happen. And the software's job is to emulate what that does. So not a lot of people understand this, but they understand the software that emulates it, right? So I'm a bit of an old schooler and a purist and a hobbyist. So I prefer the real deal versus the emulation of the real deal. But the line has just been so blurred that it's hard to audibly distinct now between what is emulated and what is real or analog and stuff like that. And there's a lot of debate in that area and stuff like that still, like just, but we're talking in the top 1% echelon of people who can even hear the difference.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. So, you know, starting out your career is a lot more accessible now in terms of the software and stuff like that, because that guy's that's gonna throw you back 150 grand, you know, and know, hey, I think I'll try music. I'll go out and buy an Analog Solutions Colossus, you know, like or any of these synths and stuff like that, because it's a high barrier.
Yeah,
and that's why electronic music in the early day was super high barrier. Like there was no entry level electronic musician. You had to spend tens of thousands of dollars on equipment and gear and synthesizers to do what Kraftwerk did at that time. Now you could do it for free. So that has shaped music in its entirety, where it's just basically all the tools are available or at very low barrier entries, like not a lot of money, just requires a PC and this and that. So, you know, I could probably, if I wanted to, I could produce a Deadmau5 level track on probably about $2,000 worth of stuff, including the computer. You know, so
wow,
it's really interesting, and what's more interesting is how it's shaped what we listen to today, and in positive and negative ways. Positive as in, like, you know, people are bending this technology and doing original things with it, but then there's also the homogenization of that technology just being abused to death and overdone. And because it's so easy, there's a huge influx of new artists that can literally come from nowhere and have a radio hit in a week. It's nuts. It's good for the culture, of course, and you know, the making it accessible to everyone. I think music making should be something for everyone, 100%.
That's a fascinating progression, and the fact that it's so more accessible and the price point is lower. And I'm obsessed with the technology side of it. And speaking of technology, I gotta ask you about this as well. NFTs, non-fungible tokens. I saw you were selling some NFTs. You've made some own. That's amazing. I'm obsessed with these things.
Yeah, I've been a digital media artist as long as I can remember, for the last 20 years. So I've been procuring 3D renderings for my Cube show. I've been creating my own real-time content. I do a lot of my album artwork and all that stuff. Actually, I've been a digital media artist before I've been Deadmau5. I mean, that was my 9 to 5, was working for web companies or illustration companies, or, you know, even a t-shirt company I worked for a minute, like designing the illustrations and Illustrator and Photoshop and this and that. So I've always been into that tech, especially 3D graphics and rendering and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, the move to NFT to me was fucking no-brainer. I don't have to go and hire a quote unquote NFT artist to do something for me. I could just do it. And then, you know, I understand, you know, the general mechanics of kind of how it is, but I think I'm just like everyone else too, whereas there's still a lot of question marks about how is this working really? What does it mean? So I'm an enthusiast of the tech. because to my understanding, something that lives on the blockchain is just some kind of irrefutable provenance of a thing. And that spins gears in my head in the sense that like, you have DSPs and ways of distributing music where, royalties may get lost in the noise and stuff like that. But with like some kind of blockchain authenticity or metadata attached to a piece of music that is irrefutable is better than copyright.
Yeah, so, the key to limit the supply
excites me for the industry, not so much the idea of, I can sell a JPEG for $1 million. You know what I mean? It's the underlying tech that gets me a little more excited.
For sure, absolutely. The limiting of the supply is super fascinating. Your top NFT went for $8,000, which was pretty cool. I'm fascinated in that market as well. So obviously, you're a professional sound person. You deal with sound, top producer in the world. What is, straight up question, what is your one favorite sound in the world?
Like organic or?
One thing you get to listen to.
Are we talking about like a band or like a noise?
And he's out for me. Water rushing. I could listen to that all day.
That's you and 98% of other answers. The sound though of an LFA exhaust.
An LFA exhaust. That's your favorite.
The exhaust on an LFA is probably the sweetest sound. It is so nice. It's just the right amount of whine and rumble. I love it. A car exhaust. Let's say that. High performance vehicle exhaust systems.
I love it. #1 sound in the world. Perfect.
Love it.
Last question. I gotta ask you. The hearts on your forearm. The tattoo. Legend of Zelda fan.
Big time. Big Nintendo all around. Yeah.
It's a great franchise. I love it, man. Thank you so much for talking to me. Deadmau5, ladies and gentlemen. That was my man, Deadmau5. We actually had some good chemistry there. We got along really, really well. Even after I wrapped up the interview, we chatted for about 15 minutes. Very fascinating individual who leads a very interesting life. I enjoyed talking to him. I hope you guys enjoyed this content. If you did, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you for watching, and good luck in the GG Festival.